Think of Indian geography, and the mind immediately goes north to the snow-capped Himalayas. But focusing exclusively on the northern border ignores the vast topographical engine driving the rest of the subcontinent. Geographically, a hill is an elevated landform, smaller than a mountain, generally rising between 300 to 600 meters in height. Looking at this topographical map, we see these specific hill ranges erupting across the peninsula and eastern corridors. Together, they cover roughly 18% of India's total geographical area. These non-Himalayan elevations dictate regional climates, isolate indigenous cultures, and hold the primary reserves of the nation's mineral wealth. To understand how the country functions, we have to look at these ranges state by state, locating their highest peaks and the specific resources they contain. Mapping this topography explains how water, populations, and industries are distributed across the Indian landmass. We begin our map in the northwest, anchoring the model with the Aravalli Range in Rajasthan. At Mount Abu, the terrain peaks at Guru Shikhar, rising to an elevation of 1,722 meters. Geologically, the Aravalli is one of the world's oldest young fold mountain systems. Fold mountains form when tectonic plates collide, forcing the Earth's crust to buckle and push upward. The Aravalli's origins date back to the Precambrian era, hundreds of millions of years ago. Today, it is classified as a residual mountain. This means eons of wind and water erosion have worn down its original massive peaks into the rounded, smaller rocky stumps we see now. Despite its eroded state, this barrier creates a massive rain shadow effect. A rain shadow is a dry area on the leeward side of a mountainous area that blocks incoming moisture. Here, it blocks weather systems from the east, directly driving the arid, desert conditions found throughout western Rajasthan. The ridge also acts as a continental watershed, a geographical divide that forces river systems to split, sending water either west toward the Indus River basin or east toward the Ganga. Hidden within these eroded slopes is a wealth of cultural architecture, such as the intricate Dilwara Jain temples constructed by Vimal Shah. The underlying geology also holds intense industrial value, containing India's oldest copper mining operations in the Khetri region. Moving directly into the center of the country, the map is bisected by Madhya Pradesh's Vindhyachal and Satpura ranges. Within the Satpura block, the terrain reaches its maximum height of 1,350 meters at Dhupgard. These ancient central and northwestern ranges demonstrate that topography is an active engine, engineering where deserts form, where rivers flow, and where mineral deposits are concentrated. Shifting to the western seaboard, the topography fragments into a series of distinct ridges across Maharashtra, the Satmala, Ajanta, Harishchandra, and Balaghat ranges. The highest elevation here is Kalsubai in the Sahyadri Mountains, rising to 1,646 meters. Notice its flat-topped nature, a signature of ancient volcanic basalt flows. Pushing further south into Karnataka, the ridges multiply into the Baba Budan and Kudramukh ranges. Here, the state's supreme elevation point is Mullayanagiri, reaching 1,925 meters. This southern topography packs dense economic value. The Champion Range, for instance, holds the famous Kolar gold mines. The peninsular elevation climbs to its topographical climax at the border of Kerala and Tamil Nadu, forming a massive cluster that includes the Nilgiri, Cardamom, and Anamalai, or Elephant Hills. Dominating the Anamalai range is Anamudi. At 2,695 meters, it stands as the highest peak in all of South India. Just across the state lines in Tamil Nadu, the Nilgiri range reaches its own peak at Dodda Betta, capping out at 2,637 meters. This extreme southern altitude creates isolated ecological pockets far above the tropical plains. These heights harbor the Shola, distinct high-altitude montane evergreen forests, and have historically sheltered indigenous communities like the Toda tribe. The sheer verticality of the Deep South operates like a fortress, preserving unique human cultures and rare ecosystems that cannot survive at sea level. Tracking back up the eastern seaboard, the Eastern Ghats present a much more fragmented profile. beginning with Tamil Nadu's internal ranges, the Javadi, Shevaroy, and Palani Hills. These specific formations allowed for high-altitude settlements, such as the famous tourist hub of Kodaikanal, which is integrated directly into the Palani Hills. Moving north into Andhra Pradesh, the topography continues through the Nalamala, Velikonda, and Seshachalam Hills. The Seshachalam Hills are uniquely valuable because they hold a global monopoly on red sandalwood. This tree is endemic, meaning it naturally grows here and almost nowhere else on Earth. Geographers analyzing this eastern corridor often debate the exact apex. Recent topographical measurements show a narrow margin, with Jindagada topping out at 1,690 meters, slightly edging out the 1,680-meter Armakonda. The resource corridor continues into Odisha. Here, the terrain is anchored by the Garjat and Talcher ranges, with Deomali standing as the state's highest peak at 1,672 meters. The immense industrial value extracted from the Talcher range has earned it the title of the Coal City of Odisha. We finish this central eastern sweep in Jharkhand, where Parasnath Hill marks the highest point, and the nearby Dalma Hills provide a vital, high-altitude sanctuary for Indian elephants. Taken together, this fragmented eastern chain forms India's primary continuous corridor for raw material wealth, dictating the extraction and flow of timber, minerals, and coal. Bypassing the flat plains to the east, we jump to India's northeast, a region where topographical scale and density shift dramatically. On this regional map, the northern edge is defined by Arunachal Pradesh, corrugated by the Dafla, Miri, Abor, and Mishmi hills. It holds the high-altitude anchor of the northeast, Kangto Mountain, reaching a staggering 7,060 meters. Tracking south along the Myanmar border, elevation remains severe through the Nada Hills to Mount Saramati and down into the Manipur Hills at Mount Isso. The southern edge is defined by Mizoram's Lushai Hills, topped by Blue Mountain, and Tripura's Jampui Hills. Hooking sharply westward into Meghalaya, the terrain splits into three parallel bands, the Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia Hills. Finally, the central basin of Assam is broken up by the Meeker, Rangma, and Karbi Anglong Hills, pinning like a peak near 2,000 meters. This dense, jagged topographical wall represents the highest concentration of distinct, named peaks anywhere in India outside of the Himalayan ranges themselves. Pulling back, the full topographical system of the Indian subcontinent is finally visible. Because these ranges define local life so absolutely, several specific topographies have earned cultural titles based on their unique geographic characteristics. West Bengal's towering Tiger Hill is recognized as the king of hills. Contrast that with the steep terraced settlements of Himachal Pradesh's Shimla, known as the Queen of Hills, while Tamil Nadu's high-altitude refuge, Kodaikanal, sits as the Princess of Hills. Uttarakhand's massive ridgetop settlement of Mussoorie operates as the City of Hills. And due to its vast elevated plateaus, the entire state of Karnataka is designated the Land of Hills. These cultural titles exist for a reason. This 18% of the country's landmass forms the physical framework that catches the rain, stores the minerals, and elevates the forests. Understanding these physical features provides the baseline for decoding the mechanical engine that drives the Indian subcontinent.